Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship, the UES Defiance. Through the big window, he could see hundreds of alien ships moving toward Earth. The ships were huge and dark against the stars. They looked like metal monsters coming. To destroy his home, Jake had been a ship captain for 15 years. He had fought pirates and explored new worlds. But he had never seen anything like this before. The alien fleet was bigger than anything humans had ever built. There were ships from 12 different alien races, all working together to attack Earth. "Captain," said Danny Walsh, the communications officer, "Admiral Carter wants to speak with you." Jake nodded. "Put her on the main screen." Admiral Lisa Carter appeared on the screen. She was 50 years old with gray hair and tired eyes. She had been fighting to keep Earth safe for most of her life. Now she looked worried. "Jake, the situation is bad," she said. "The Galactic Council has given us 24 hours to surrender. They want us to give up all our ships and technology. If we don't, they will destroy every human world." Jake felt anger rise in his chest. The Galactic Council was a group of alien races that controlled most of the galaxy. They made the rules, and everyone else had to follow them. For years, they had told humans what they could and could not do. Now they wanted to take away Earth's freedom completely. "What did we do wrong?" Jake asked. "They say we broke the Non-Proliferation Treaty," Admiral Carter replied. "They found out about our dark matter research. They're scared of what we might build with it." Jake knew about the Dark Matter Project. Dr. Alex Rodriguez had been working on it for 2 years at the Titan Research Station. Dark matter was invisible, stuff that filled the universe. Most races couldn't even detect it, but Dr. Rodriguez had found a way to use it. He could make ships that could hide in dark matter space. The Council was right to be scared. If humans could build ships that no one could see, it would change everything. The Council's power came from having the biggest and strongest fleets. If they couldn't find human ships, they couldn't fight them. "How many ships do they have?" Jake asked. "Over 800, Admiral Carter said. Zephyrian dreadnoughts, Kytheran battle cruisers, Altarian destroyers. They brought everything." "They have." Jake looked at the alien fleet again. The ships were spread across space like a deadly cloud. Each one was bigger than the UES Defiance. The largest ships were the Zephyrian dreadnoughts. They were 5 kilometers long and had enough firepower to destroy a small moon. "Sir," said Lieutenant Amy Foster, his tactical officer, "our conventional fleet has only 200 ships. We can't fight them in a straight battle." Jake knew she was right. Earth's regular ships were good, but not good enough. The aliens had been building warships for thousands of years. Humans had only been in space for 200 years. In a normal fight, Earth would lose quickly. But this wasn't going to be a normal fight. "Danny, send a message to all human forces," Jake ordered. "Tell them Operation Phantom Protocol is now active." Danny's eyes went wide. He knew what that meant. For months, human engineers had been building something new in secret. Hidden shipyards in the asteroid belt had been working day and night. The first generation of dark matter warships was ready. "Sir, are you sure?" Danny asked. "The Council doesn't know about the dark matter fleet yet. Once we use it, there's no going back." Jake looked at the alien armada again. They had surrounded Earth, Mars, Europa, and Titan. Every major human world was trapped. The Council thought. They had humans cornered like animals. "They made their choice when they decided to attack innocent people," Jake said. "Send the message." On the main screen, Admiral Carter nodded. "All human forces, this is Admiral Carter. Operation Phantom Protocol is now active. All conventional ships will maintain defensive positions. Dark matter fleet, begin deployment." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. The dark matter ships were unlike anything ever built. They could phase between normal space and dark matter dimensions. To enemy sensors, they would be completely invisible. They could strike without warning and disappear before anyone could. "Fight back, Captain," said Chief Engineer Karen Brooks. "We're getting reports from the asteroid belt. The dark matter ships are launching now." Jake couldn't see them, of course. That was the point. 50 ships were now moving toward the alien fleet, and the Council had no idea they were coming. The ships had names like U, E's Wraith, U, E's Phantom, and U's Ghost. They were smaller than the conventional warships, but they didn't need to be big. They just needed to be invisible. "How long until they reach the Council fleet?" Jake asked. 6 hours, Karen replied. "The dark matter drives are faster than anything the Council has." On the view screen, Ambassador Helen Price appeared next to Admiral Carter. She was the human representative to the Galactic Council. She had spent years trying to work with the aliens peacefully. Now she looked angry. "Captain Morrison," she said, "I've been trying to negotiate with the Council for 12 hours. They won't listen to reason. They say humans are too dangerous to be allowed independence. They want to put us in cages like animals." Jake clenched his fists. He had friends who lived on Mars and Europa. His sister lived on Titan with her family. The Council wanted to destroy all of that because they were afraid of human technology. "What about the other races?" Jake asked. "Are they all supporting the Council?" "Most of them are," Helen replied. "But some are having second thoughts. Centauri Trade Federation is worried about the economic impact. The Altarian Republic doesn't want to fight humans, but they're afraid of the Council." Jake understood. The Council ruled through fear. If a race didn't follow their orders, they would be destroyed. It was better to be part of the Council than to be crushed by them. "That's about to change," Admiral Carter said. "The dark matter fleet will show them that the Council isn't as powerful as they think." Jake looked at his crew. They were all young and scared, but they were ready to fight. Earth was their home, and they would die before they let aliens destroy it. "Sir," Danny said, "the Council is sending another message. They want our final answer." "Tell them they'll have it in 6 hours," Jake replied. "And tell them it won't be the answer they expect." The bridge was quiet for a moment. Everyone knew that in 6 hours, everything would change. Either humanity would win its freedom, or it would be destroyed. There was no middle ground. Jake looked at the alien fleet. One more time. They thought they were hunting sheep. Soon they would learn they were fighting wolves. Dr. Alex Rodriguez sat in the command center deep inside the asteroid series. Around him, dozens of screens showed the positions of ships that shouldn't exist. The dark matter fleet was moving through space like ghosts, invisible to everyone except the humans who had built them. "Phase shift complete on all vessels," reported Chief Engineer Karen Brooks. She was watching the energy readings from 50 different ships. "The dark matter warships are now operating in dimensional overlap. A Council sensors can't detect them." Alex smiled. He had spent 2 years figuring out how to make this work. Dark matter was everywhere in the universe, but most races couldn't even prove it existed. They knew something was there because of gravity effects, but they couldn't see it or touch it. Humans were different. They had always been good at finding new ways to use things. When Alex's team discovered how to interact with dark matter, they realized they could build ships that existed in both normal space and dark matter space at the same time. "Dr. Rodriguez," said Lieutenant Pete Johnson, the communications officer. "Commander Hayes is reporting from the UES Wraith. He says they're now positioned next to a Council battlecruiser." Alex looked at the tactical display. The UES Wraith was a destroyer, one of the smaller dark matter ships. According to the sensors, it was floating just 500 meters from a massive alien warship. The aliens had no idea they were being watched. "Put me through to Commander Hayes," Alex said. Commander Steve Hayes appeared on the screen. He was a 35-year-old man with short brown hair and calm eyes. He had been chosen to command the first dark matter ship because he was one of the best pilots in the human fleet. "Doctor, this is incredible," Hayes said quietly. "I'm close enough to see the aliens walking around on their bridge. They're just going about their normal duties. They have no idea we're here." Alex nodded. The dark matter ships weren't completely invisible. They existed partially in normal space, so they could still interact with regular matter. But the part that existed in dark matter space couldn't be detected by normal sensors. "How are the weapon systems?" Alex asked. "Perfect," Hayes replied. "Lieutenant Amy Foster has been running tests. The dark matter cannons can phase between dimensions. We can shoot them while staying hidden. This was the breakthrough that would change everything. The weapons on the dark matter ships could exist in normal space just long enough to hit their targets, then phase back to dark matter space. It was like being able to punch someone while being invisible." "Commander Hayes," said a new voice. It was Captain Rick Stone, commanding the UES Phantom. "We're in position above the Council flagship. This thing is huge." Alex switched the display to show Captain Stone's ship. The UEC Phantom was the largest dark matter vessel, a battleship designed to take on the Council's biggest ships. It was now floating directly above the Zephyrian flagship, close enough to drop rocks on it. "Captain Stone, what's your status?" Alex asked. "All systems green," Stone replied. "We've been scanning their ship for the past hour. Their shields are designed to stop normal weapons, but they won't work against dark matter technology." Alex felt excitement building in his chest. For years, the Council had used their superior technology to control other races. They had the biggest ships, the strongest weapons, and the best defenses. But they had never faced an enemy they couldn't see. "Dr. Rodriguez," said Karen Brooks, "we're getting reports from all dark matter ships. They're all in position and ready to begin the attack." Alex looked at the tactical display. 50 invisible ships were now scattered throughout the Council fleet. Some were next to the big battleships. Others were positioned near the smaller escort vessels. The aliens had no idea they were surrounded. "Put me through to Admiral Carter," Alex said. Admiral Lisa Carter appeared on the screen. She was on the bridge of her command ship, watching the Council fleet through her own sensors. From her perspective, the alien ships were just sitting in space, waiting for humans to surrender. "Admiral, the dark matter fleet is in position," Alex reported. "All ships are ready to begin the attack." Carter nodded. "Understood. How long can they maintain the phase shift?" "Indefinitely," Alex replied. "The dark matter drives are self-sustaining. They draw energy directly from the dark matter field. As long as the ships exist, they can stay invisible." This was another advantage humans had discovered. Dark matter wasn't just useful for hiding ships. It was also an unlimited source of energy. The dark matter drives could run forever without fuel. "Admiral," said Captain Stone, "request permission to begin the attack. My crew is ready." Carter looked at the chronometer. "You have 6 hours until the Council's deadline. Begin the attack in 30 minutes. I want to give them a little more time to think about what they're doing." Alex understood. The Admiral was hoping the Council would change their minds and leave peacefully. But he knew they wouldn't. The Council had made their decision when they brought 800 warships to attack Earth. "Dr. Rodriguez," said Commander Hayes, "the aliens are starting to look nervous. I think they're wondering why we haven't responded to their ultimatum yet." Alex looked at the video feed from the UE's Wraith. The alien bridge crew was talking among themselves. They kept looking at their sensors, probably wondering if humans were planning something. "They should be nervous," Alex said. "In 30 minutes, They're going to learn that humans don't give up easily. The command center was quiet for a moment. Everyone knew they were about to make history. No one had ever attacked the Council's fleet and won. Most races didn't even try to fight back when the Council made demands. "Dr. Rodriguez," said Lieutenant Johnson, "we're getting a message from the Council flagship. They're asking for our final answer." Alex smiled. "Tell them they'll have it in 30 minutes. And tell them it won't be what they expect." Around the command center, technicians were making final preparations. The dark matter ships were running last-minute checks on their weapon systems. The crews were getting into position for battle. "Doctor," said Corin Brooks, "I want to thank you. Without your breakthrough, we'd be helpless against the Council." Alex shook his head. "It wasn't just me. It took hundreds of scientists and engineers to make this work. And it took thousands of workers to build the ships. This is humanity's achievement, not mine." On the screen, Admiral Carter was talking to her captains. "All units, prepare for Operation Phantom Protocol. In 29 minutes, we show the galaxy that humans don't kneel to anyone." Alex felt proud of his species. Humans had been in space for only 200 years, but they had already accomplished things that other races thought were impossible. The Council had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, but they had never faced anyone like humans. 28 minutes, said Lieutenant Johnson. Alex looked at the tactical display one more time. 50 invisible ships were waiting to strike. The Council's fleet was spread out across space, completely unaware of the danger they were in. "This is it," Alex said quietly. "This is the moment everything changes." The attack began at exactly 08:00 hours, Galactic Standard Time. Captain Rick Stone watched the countdown on his screen reach 0. Around him, the bridge crew of the U.E.'s Phantom was ready for battle. "All weapons charged and ready," reported Lieutenant Chris Morgan, the weapons officer. "Dark matter torpedoes loaded in all tubes." Stone nodded. His ship was floating directly above the Council flagship, a massive Zephyrian vessel called the Dominion. The alien ship was 5 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to destroy a planet. Its crew of 3,000 had no idea they were about to die. "Target the bridge and engine sections," Stone ordered. "We want to disable their command structure first." The dark matter torpedoes were unlike any weapon ever built. They could phase between dimensions, passing through shields, and armor like they weren't there. Only when they reached their target would they become solid and explode. "Firing now," Morgan said. The torpedoes launched from the U.E.'s Phantom's tubes. To the aliens below, they were completely invisible. The Council's sensors showed empty space around their flagship. They had no idea that death was racing toward them. The torpedoes phased through the Dominion's shields without triggering any alarms. They passed through the outer hull and into the ship's interior. Only when they reached the bridge did they become solid matter again. The explosions tore through the flagship's command center. Admiral Vexvar, the Council's supreme commander, was thrown from his chair as his bridge erupted in flames. Emergency lights flickered on as the ship's main power failed. "What's happening?" Vexvar demanded. He was a tall, blue-skinned Zephyrian with 4 arms. He had commanded fleets for 50 years and had never been surprised in battle. "Sir, we're under attack," reported his tactical officer, insectoid Kitharin named Zictur. "But our sensors show no enemy ships in the area." "That's impossible," Vexvar said. "Ships can't fire from empty space." But across the battlefield, the impossible was happening again and again. Commander Steve Hayes' destroyer U.E.'s Wraith struck 3 escort vessels at the same time. The ships exploded without warning, their crews never knowing what hit them. "Target destroyed," reported Lieutenant Amy Foster. "Moving to the next target?" Hayes smiled grimly. The U.E.'s Wraith was much smaller than the ships it was fighting. But size didn't matter when your enemy couldn't see you coming. The dark matter cannons could punch through any armor, and the aliens couldn't shoot back at a target they couldn't find. "Sir, we're getting reports from across the fleet," Foster said. "All dark matter ships are engaging successfully. Enemy casualties are mounting." The psychological impact was immediate. Council crews found themselves fighting an enemy that didn't exist. Their ships were exploding around them, but their sensors showed nothing. Some crews began to panic, thinking they were being attacked by ghosts. On the bridge of the HFY Defiance, Captain Jake Morrison watched the battle unfold. His ship was still in normal space, part of the conventional fleet that was supposed to surrender to the Council. But now the Council had bigger problems to worry about. "Captain, the Council flagship is burning," reported Danny Walsh. "They're sending out distress calls, but they don't know what's attacking them." Jake nodded. The dark matter ships were doing exactly what they were designed to do. They were invisible, deadly, and completely unstoppable by conventional weapons. "Sir," said Chief Engineer Karen Rooks, "the Council fleet is starting to break formation. Some ships are trying to retreat." Jake looked at the tactical display. The alien formation was falling apart as ships tried to escape an enemy they couldn't see. But there was nowhere to run. The dark matter ships could follow them anywhere. "Put me through to Admiral Carter," Jake said. Admiral Lisa Carter appeared on the screen. She was watching the battle from her command ship, and she looked satisfied with the results. "Admiral, the Council fleet is in chaos," Jake reported. "Should we begin Phase 2? "Not yet," Carter replied. "Let them suffer a little longer. I want them to understand what it feels like to be helpless." On the Council flagship, Admiral Vex Var was trying to regain control of the situation. His bridge was damaged, but the ship was still functional. He needed to find a way to fight back against an invisible enemy. "All ships, this is Admiral Vex Var," he transmitted. "Begin random firing patterns. If we can't see them, we'll shoot everywhere." The Council ships began firing their weapons in all directions. Energy beams and missiles filled the space around them. But the dark matter ships were too small and too fast to be hit by random fire. "Sir, random fire is ineffective," reported Zictor. "The enemy ships are avoiding our shots easily." Captain Stone watched the alien weapons fire past his ship. The U's Phantom was close enough to the Council flagship to be hit by debris, but the energy beams passed right through the parts of his ship that existed in dark matter space. "Return fire," Stone ordered. "Target their weapon systems." The dark matter cannons fired again. This time, the beams struck the Dominion's main gun turrets. The weapons exploded in showers of sparks and metal. Within minutes, the flagship was defenseless. "Sir, we've lost main weapons," reported the Dominion's engineering officer. "Engines are also damaged. We're dead in space." Vex Var felt fear. For the first time in his life, his flagship was dying around him, and he couldn't even see his attackers. This was supposed to be a simple operation to crush the humans. Instead, it had become a nightmare. "All ships, retreat to the moon," he ordered. "We need to regroup and figure out what we're fighting." But the dark matter ships weren't finished. As the Council fleet tried to retreat, they found themselves under attack from all sides. Ships that had been running away suddenly exploded as invisible enemies struck them. Commander Hayes positioned his ship in front of a fleeing battlecruiser. "Amy, prepare the main cannon. Let's give them something to remember." The dark matter cannon charged to full power. When it fired, the beam tore through the battlecruiser's front section. The ship broke in half, its crew dying in the vacuum of space. "Direct hit," Foster reported. "Target destroyed." Across the battlefield, the story was the same. The Council's mighty fleet was being destroyed by an enemy they couldn't see, couldn't hit, and couldn't understand. ships that had ruled the galaxy. For centuries were burning like paper. "Sir," said Lieutenant Johnson from the command center on Ceres, "the Council fleet has lost over 200 ships. They're falling back to minimum safe distance." Dr. Alex Rodriguez watched the tactical display with satisfaction. The dark matter ships had performed perfectly. Not a single human vessel had been damaged, because the enemy had never been able to target them. "How are our ships holding up?" he asked. "All systems normal," Corinne Brooks reported. "The dark matter drives are stable. We could keep fighting for days if necessary." But the battle was already over. The Council fleet was broken and scattered. Their supreme commander was trapped on a damaged flagship, and their crews were demoralized and afraid. "Admiral Carter is ordering all dark matter ships to phase back to normal space," Johnson reported. "She wants the Council to see what they've been fighting." One by one, the dark matter ships became visible. A U's Phantom appeared above the burning flagship. The U.E.'s Wraith materialized next to the destroyed escort vessels. 50 human ships suddenly existed where empty space had been moments before. On the Council flagship, Admiral Vexvar stared at the human ships in shock. They were smaller than he had expected, but they had just destroyed his fleet. He finally understood what had happened. "Humans," he whispered. "They built ships that can hide in dimensions we can't detect." The first battle was over. The Council's supposedly unstoppable armada had been humiliated by a species they had tried to destroy. And this was just the beginning. The news of Earth's victory spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On the Council homeworld of Nexus Prime, Supreme Chancellor Zix Moore called an emergency meeting. The ancient crystalline being had ruled for 300 years, but had never faced a crisis like this. "The humans have destroyed our fleet," reported Defense Minister Kovacs, a tall reptilian from the Draconian Empire. "Over 400 ships lost, including the flagship. Admiral Vexvar is missing and presumed dead." Zix Moore's crystalline form flickered with colors that showed his anger and fear. "How is this possible?" "Our intelligence reports," said the humans, "had only primitive technology." "Our intelligence was wrong," Kovacs replied. "The humans have developed something we've never seen before. Ships that can exist in other dimensions. Our sensors cannot detect them, and our weapons cannot hit them." Around the Council chamber, representatives from 12 different races sat in stunned silence. The Galactic Council had ruled for thousands of years through superior military power. If their fleets could be destroyed by invisible enemies, their entire system of control would collapse. "What about our other fleets?" asked Ambassador Canela, a blue-skinned Altarian. "Are they safe?" "No," Kovacs said grimly. "Human ships have already struck at our bases in the Rigel system, the Centauri sector, and the Vega colonies. They appear without warning, destroy our facilities, and vanish before we can respond." On Earth, Admiral Lisa Carter was coordinating humanity's counterattack from her command center. The dark matter fleet had been divided into strike groups, each one targeting a different Council stronghold. "Captain Morrison is reporting success at Alpha Centauri," said Lieutenant Johnson. "The Council's shipyards there have been destroyed." Carter nodded. The Centauri shipyards had been building the weapons intended for Earth's conquest. Now they were burning wrecks, their construction crews evacuated or dead. Captain Stone's group. Carter asked. "They've reached the Vega system," Johnson replied. "The Council's fortress there is under attack." Captain Rick Stone stood on the bridge of the U.E.'s Phantom, watching the massive space station burn. The Vega fortress had been the Council's most secure military base, protected by energy shields and defended by 200 ships. Now it was falling apart under the assault of invisible enemies. "Sir, the fortress is requesting surrender," reported Lieutenant Morgan. "They're offering to give us their weapons and evacuate the system." Stone considered this. The dark matter fleet could destroy the fortress easily, but that would mean killing thousands of people. Many of them were just soldiers following orders. Tell them we accept their surrender, Stone said. But I want all Council military personnel off this station within 6 hours. The psychological warfare was working perfectly. Council forces across the galaxy were surrendering rather than fight, and none. Enemy they couldn't see. The humans had shown mercy to those who gave up, but destroyed anyone who kept fighting. On Nexus Prime, the Council was receiving surrender reports from across their territory. The Rigel Defense Force had abandoned their posts. The Centauri trade. Federation was asking for separate peace negotiations. Even the proud Draconian Empire was questioning whether they should continue supporting the Council. This is a disaster, said Chancellor Zixmore. Our member races are losing faith in our ability to protect them. Can we negotiate with the humans? Asked Ambassador Quinn Ella. Perhaps we can reach some kind of agreement. The humans have already made their position clear, Kolvax replied. They demand the complete dissolution of the Council's authority over human space. They also want all member races to have the right to choose their own alliances. Zixmore's form turned a dark red color. That would mean the end of the Council as we know it. We cannot accept such terms. But the Council was discovering that. They had little choice. The humans had found a way to strike anywhere in the galaxy within hours. Their dark matter drives allowed them to travel through higher dimensions, covering vast distances almost instantly. Dr. Alex Rodriguez was monitoring the offensive from his command center on Ceres. The dark matter ships were performing even better than he had hoped. They could appear in any system, strike their targets, and be gone before enemy reinforcements arrived. Doctor, we're getting reports from all strike groups, said Karen Brooks. The Council's military infrastructure is being systematically destroyed. They're losing the ability to enforce their authority. Alex nodded. This was exactly what Admiral Carter had planned. The Council's power came from their military strength. If they couldn't project force, they couldn't control their member races. How are our ships holding up? Alex asked. All systems normal, Brooks replied. The dark matter drives are performing perfectly. We could keep this up for months if necessary. But the war was already changing the balance of power in the galaxy. The Altarian Republic was the first major race to break from the Council. Their ambassador, Kethzol, sent a message directly to Earth asking for protection. We no longer recognize the Council's authority, the message said. The Altarian Republic requests membership in any alliance that Earth might form. Within days, other races followed. The Centauri Trade Federation offered to share their technology in exchange for human protection. The Proxima colonies declared their independence from Council rule. Even some of the smaller races were beginning to question their loyalty. On the bridge of the UEC Defiance, Captain Jake Morrison was reading the latest intelligence reports. The galaxy was in chaos as the old order collapsed. Sir, we're getting surrender offers from 3 more Council systems, reported Danny Walsh. They're willing to let us establish bases on their worlds. Jake smiled. The humans weren't just winning battles. They were winning the war for the hearts and minds of the galaxy's people. Races that had lived under Council oppression for centuries were finally seeing a chance for freedom. What about the Council's home fleet? Jake asked. Still defending Nexus Prime, Walsh replied. But they're not leaving the system. They're too afraid of our dark matter ships to launch any offensive operations. The Council's mighty war machine had been reduced to a defensive force hiding around their own homeworld. Their fleets, which had once terrorized the galaxy, were now afraid to leave port. Sir, said Chief Engineer Brooks, Admiral Carter is requesting all ship captains to report to Luna Command. She wants to discuss the next phase of operations. Jake nodded. Phase 1 had been about breaking the Council's military power. Phase 2 would be about building something new to replace it. The meeting took place on Luna, Earth's moon. All the major human commanders were present, either in person or by hologram. Admiral Carter stood at the head of the table, looking tired but satisfied. The Council's military has been effectively neutralized, she began. Their fleets are either destroyed or hiding. Their bases are in our hands. And now we face a new challenge. She activated a holographic display showing the galaxy. Large sections were now colored green, indicating human control or influence. We've created a power vacuum, Carter continued. If we just leave, the galaxy will collapse into chaos. Wars will break out as different races fight for control. Millions of people will die. Captain Stone leaned forward. What are you suggesting, Admiral? We need to create a new order, Carter replied. Not like the Council, which ruled through fear. Something better. A voluntary alliance of free worlds, with humanity providing security and protection. Jake thought about this. The humans had won the war, but winning the peace would be much harder. They would need to prove that they were different from the Council, that they could be trusted with power. What about the Council themselves? Asked Commander Hayes. Are we going to destroy Nexus Prime? Carter shook her head. That would make us no better than them. We'll offer them terms. They can keep their homeworld, but they must give up any claim to rule other races. The meeting continued for hours as the human leaders planned the new galactic order. They would need to establish bases, negotiate treaties, and prove that humanity could be a force for good in the galaxy. But first, they needed to deal with the Council's final stand. Nexus Prime was still defended, and Chancellor Zix Moore was refusing to negotiate. The war wasn't over yet. The final negotiations took place in neutral space, aboard a human space station that the Council couldn't find until humanity chose to reveal it. Admiral Lisa Carter sat across from the surviving Council leaders, knowing that every word would reshape the galaxy. Supreme Chancellor Zix Moore looked older than his 300 years. His crystalline form was dim and cracked, showing the stress of recent events. Beside him sat the remaining Council members, representatives of races that had once ruled the galaxy. The terms are simple, Carter began. The Council will give up all authority over non-Council worlds. All races will be free to choose their own alliances. Any world that requests human protection will receive it. You cannot simply destroy thousands of years of galactic law, Zix Moore protested. His voice was weak, but still carried traces of his old authority. We already have, Carter replied calmly. Your law was based on military power. We now have superior military power. The balance has shifted. Through the station's windows, they could see the U.S. Phantom floating nearby. Captain Rick Stone's battleship had taken permanent station above Nexus Prime, a constant reminder of humanity's new capabilities. The Council's own homeworld was now under human protection. What guarantee do we have that humans won't become tyrants like the Council? Asked Ambassador Quinella. The Altarian looked frightened but defiant. You have our word, Carter said. But more importantly, you have our actions. We've had the power to destroy Nexus Prime for weeks. Instead, we're offering you a chance to live in peace. The transformation had been remarkable. Within months of the Council's defeat, over 200 races had requested membership in the new Free Worlds Alliance. The Council's former territory was being divided among independent worlds that could now choose their own destinies. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the U.S. Sephience, watching construction crews build a new space station in the Centauri system. The dark matter shipyards were working at full capacity, but now they were building ships for exploration and trade, not just war. Hard to believe how fast things have changed, said his first officer, Commander Pete Johnson. 6 months ago, We were facing annihilation. Now we're the dominant power in the galaxy. Jake nodded. The humans had learned something important about power. It wasn't enough to be strong. You had to be wise about how you used that strength. Sir, said Communications Officer Danny Walsh, we're getting reports from the Outer Rim. 3 more systems have requested membership in the Alliance. The Free Worlds Alliance was growing every day. Unlike the Council, which had forced races to join, the Alliance was voluntary. Worlds could leave if they wanted, but few did. Human protection was effective, and human trade was profitable. On Earth, Dr. Alex Rodriguez was working on new applications for dark matter technology. His research had gone far beyond military uses. Dark matter drives could power entire cities. Dark matter shields could protect planets from asteroid impacts. The technology that had won the war was now being used to build a better future. Doctor, we've received requests for dark matter technology from 50 different worlds, reported Chief Engineer Corinne Brooks. They want to build their own power plants and defense systems. Alex considered this carefully. The humans could keep the technology secret and maintain their military advantage. But that would make them no different from the Council, hoarding power and keeping other races dependent. Approve the requests, Alex said finally, but we'll provide the technology gradually. We want to make sure it's used for peaceful purposes. This was the human approach to leadership. Instead of ruling through fear, they shared their advantages with their allies. Instead of crushing potential rivals, they helped them grow stronger. It was a risky strategy, but it was working. In the Rigel system, Commander Steve Hayes was overseeing the construction of a new research facility. The U's Wraith had been converted from a warship into an exploration vessel. Its dark matter drives could reach parts of the galaxy that no other race had ever visited. Sir, we've detected an anomaly in the outer system, reported Lieutenant Amy Foster. It looks like an ancient artifact of some kind. Hayes smiled. This was what he had joined the space service for. Not to fight wars, but to explore the unknown and make new discoveries. Set course for the anomaly, he ordered. Let's see what we can find. The galaxy was full of mysteries waiting to be solved. With dark matter technology, humans could explore regions that had been unreachable for millions of years. They were finding new planets, new forms of life, and ancient ruins left by civilizations that had vanished long ago. Back on the space station, the negotiations were coming to an end. Chancellor Zix Moore had finally accepted that the old order was finished. The Council would be disbanded, and its member races would be free to choose their own paths. What will happen to us? Asked Defense Minister Kovacs. The Draconian looked defeated and old. You'll be given a choice, Admiral Carter replied. You can join the Free Worlds Alliance as equals, or you can remain independent. But you cannot try to rebuild the Council. Most of the former Council races chose to join the Alliance. They had seen what happened to those who opposed humanity, and they had also seen the benefits of cooperation. The Draconians became some of humanity's strongest allies, their warrior culture finding new purpose in protecting weaker races. Only a few species chose independence. The Zephyrians retreated to their home systems and closed their borders. They had been the Council's strongest supporters, and they couldn't accept the new order. Humanity respected their choice and left them alone. The formal treaty will be signed tomorrow, Carter announced. The Galactic Council is officially dissolved. The Free Worlds Alliance will take its place. Captain Stone watched the ceremony. From the bridge of the UE's Phantom, representatives from hundreds of worlds had gathered to sign the treaty that would create a new galactic government. It was based on cooperation instead of domination, freedom instead of fear. Sir, we're receiving a message from Earth, reported Lieutenant Morgan. Admiral Carter wants all dark matter ships to return home for reassignment. Stone nodded. The war was over, but humanity's responsibilities were just beginning. The galaxy was a big place, and there were many worlds that needed protection. The dark matter fleet would be divided into exploration groups, each one responsible for a different sector. Set course for Earth, Stone ordered. It's time to go home. The trip back to Earth gave Stone time to think about what they had accomplished. Humanity had faced the greatest military power in the galaxy and won. But more than that, they had used their victory to create something better. When the UE's Phantom reached Earth orbit, Stone could see the changes that had taken place. New space stations were under construction. Ships from dozens of different races were docked at human facilities. Earth had become the center of a new galactic civilization. Captain Stone, welcome home. Admiral Carter's voice came over the cone. Report to Luna Command for your next assignment. Stone smiled. Understood, Admiral. What's our next mission? Exploration, Carter replied. We've mapped less than 10% of the galaxy. With dark matter drives, we can reach places no one has ever seen. Your job is to find new worlds for the Alliance. This was what humanity did best. When faced with the unknown, they didn't retreat or hide. They explored, they learned, and they adapted. The same spirit that had led them to develop dark matter. Technology would now lead them to the stars. Years later, historians would mark the defeat of the Galactic Council as the beginning of a new age. The Council had ruled through strength and fear, crushing anyone who challenged their authority. Humanity had shown a different way to use power. The Free Worlds Alliance grew to include over 1,000 different species. Trade flourished between worlds that had been enemies for centuries. Scientific knowledge was shared freely, leading to advances that benefited everyone. The galaxy became a more peaceful and prosperous place. Captain Morrison, now an admiral himself, often thought about a moment when humanity had faced annihilation. They had been given a choice, surrender or fight. They had chosen to fight, and in doing so, they had won not just their freedom, but the freedom of countless other races. The Council made one crucial mistake, Morrison would tell new recruits. They thought humans would give up when faced with impossible odds. They forgot that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our weapons. It's our refusal to accept that something can't be done. The dark matter ships still patrolled the galaxy, but now they were symbols of protection rather than weapons of war. They explored new systems, rescued ships in distress, and kept the peace between rival worlds. The same technology that had humiliated the Council was now being used to build a better future for everyone. And in the outer reaches of the galaxy, where no ship had ever traveled before, human explorers were discovering wonders beyond imagination. New forms of life, ancient mysteries, and planets that could support billions of people. The galaxy was vast and full of possibilities. The age of the Council was over. The age of humanity had begun.